All right, everyone. It's time for me to come clean. I think I've been, well, a little disrespectful to the Toronto Blue Jays, and that ends now.
You are Locked On MLB, your daily MLB podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hello, baseball fans, and welcome to Locked On MLB, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, where it's your team every day. This is the daily podcast. We talk about all of Major League Baseball. I'm your host, Paul Francis Sullivan. Please call me Sully. Follow us at Locked On MLB Pods on Twitter, or whatever they're calling it these days, and on Instagram. I am your pal Sully. I'm at Sully Baseball Podcast on Instagram, but the best way to get hold of me is right here on the YouTube page, where you can always leave that hashtag Everyday Sully. It helps us find your comments and keep them together, and then we can read some of them. Today's episode is brought to you by our good friends over at FanDuel. New customers can right now bet just $5, and if your bet wins, you get $300 in bonus bets to use across the app. Download the app today. And let's go right to the trivia question. The trivia question was, there's the answer. Trivia question: on this day in 1986, which Angels right-hander outpitched Roger Clemens in Game 1 of the 1986 ALCS? Big John 08865 got it right. It was Mike Witt. I was living in Boston at the time, and the Red Sox won the division. It was the first time I ever saw my team in the playoffs. I was way too young to know what the hell was going on in 1975. So I was like, oh my God, my team's in the postseason. They have the best pitcher in baseball pitching Game 1. We all thought Game 1 was a gimme, and Mike Witt was amazing, and Roger Clemens got rocked. Now, Bruce First won the next game, and of course, all the postseason series that year were absolute classics. And I learned a really important lesson about expecting your team to win. But everyone thought Clemens was going to win that, and lo and behold, there we go. Well, let's go on to today, and a little bit about this top story, and we'll go into some of the other all the other games we'll mention. But the Toronto Blue Jays are the only team that advanced today. You had four teams that could have advanced. You had the Blue Jays, you had the Seattle Mariners, Los Angeles Dodgers, and the Milwaukee Brewers were all in a position to advance today. And the only one who was able to pull it off were the Toronto Blue Jays. Now, a lot of people are going to be pointing, and I will point out some of the Yankees' shortcomings, and there were many. But let's also say this. The Toronto Blue Jays are a good baseball team, at least in the American League. Now, the American League has more parity than the National League. The National League has a couple of better super teams. There is no super team in the American League, and I've said over and over again, whoever wins the AL pennant is going to be the person who has a really good couple of weeks. But I think I may have counted out Toronto a bunch of times during the year, and I certainly did when I was setting up my thoughts for the postseason. I've maligned John Schneider, the manager of the Toronto Blue Jays. Many, many times I've called for his head. I said he was an interim manager that inexplicably was left in the job. I thought he would have been fired after their postseason collapse in 2022. I thought they should have again in 2023. They were last place team last year, and I couldn't understand how he got his job. He kept his job. So guess what? There are points in the season where someone looks great. There's some points where someone looks bad. But I'm going to have to say I apologize to John Schneider, the manager of the Blue Jays. Well, he did a terrific job. He really did. He did a terrific job putting the right players on the field, handling the pitching staff, and getting out of Dodge in 4 games. Now, could the Blue Jays have swept them as when they're up 6-1? Yeah, that would have been a humiliating knockout punch. But do you know what? He did what they were supposed to do. He got the team. They didn't go to the deciding Game 5. And Gosman can pitch Game 1. Yusevich, they can do what they want. If they want to reactivate Scherzer because they probably need another starter, and you roll the dice thinking maybe a Hall of Famer could have one more good start in him. I don't know, and neither do you. And he basically pitched a bullpen game yesterday when Bieber couldn't go well. And the problems of bullpen games can be shown in these back-to-back games. You're relying on everyone doing their job, and if a couple people don't do their job, it falls apart, and you burn through relievers like crazy. Well, today all the buttons were correctly pushed, and it just the Yankees got the one run early by the McMahon home run, and then they picked up a garbage time run because Aaron Judge did not want to make the last out, and you don't blame him. They got a run in the end, but that was really it. And if you take a look at the fact that this was, Varland, who didn't pitch particularly well the other day, Varland pitched an inning in third. Fluharty pitched an inning. Dominguez pitched an inning 2/3. Lauer pitched an inning 2/3. Rodriguez pitched a third of an inning. Little pitched an inning. Fisher pitched 2/3 of an inning, and Hoffman pitched the final inning and a third. And along the way, 10 Yankees struck out, and only 2 runs scored, and one was a complete garbage time in the bottom of the ninth. And with that, all the buttons were pushed correctly. And did you notice the thing that the Blue Jays did? They're a contact hitting team, and sometimes you see, you saw the little flares, check swings, balls finding the right place because they put the bat on the ball. And Lucas got 2 hits, Barger got 3 hits, Clement got 2 hits. Clement seemed to be able to get hits at will. And they've got a very interesting lineup who should fare well against whomever is going to come out of the Seattle versus Detroit series. More on that later. So when I made my predictions for the playoffs, and mind you, my predictions always stink, but I thought whoever was going to get out of the Boston, New York wild card series, I thought they were going to make quick work of the Blue Jays. I didn't have confidence in them. I didn't know if Guerrero was going to show up. And I didn't believe much in Schneider. And I thought that, there's a team that had a really, really great burst in the middle of the season and then kind of cruised into port and managed to win the division because of those early wins against the Yankees, clinching the home field advantage because of the tiebreaker situation. And I kind of looked down and said, if the Red Sox win, they'll make quick work of the Blue Jays because I don't really believe in them. I was disrespectful, and I apologize to the many Blue Jay fans who listen to this show and watch this show on the YouTubes. The Blue Jays showed me a lot, putting the ball in play, getting the big hits. And I also felt another reason I felt like they weren't going to do great is they didn't have Bassett, they didn't have Barrios, they didn't have Bichette. I thought they had too many pieces that were not lined up. And I thought the Yankees had been on an absolute roll, and they played well against Toronto the last time they went to the stadium. But here we are, a team that really had one starting pitcher that you thought of, but then Yusevich said, hold my beer. And then up and down the lineup, guys putting the ball in play, guys taking smart at-bats, and that you have to point to. And it's, with the exception of the big blowout game, the pitching seemed to fall in place. Yes, I know the Yankees scored 7 runs in game 2, but I firmly believe those were a lot of the pitchers that were not going to see the light of day of a tight game anyway, and they were trying to save Yusevich. Well, now they are going to have Gausman and Yusevich rested and ready to go games 1 and 2, whether they're going to play Seattle or whether they're going to play Detroit. They're going to be ready to go. And you know what? For the Blue Jay fans who've come on here and have said that, one person called me a Trumper because because I'm an American and I supposedly disrespect. No, I did disrespect the Blue Jays. It's nothing to do with politics, folks. It's nothing to do with politics. And you know what? Whomever is going to face the Blue Jays in the American League Championship Series, I'm not saying they don't have a shot, but it is going to be a hell of a hard time. The NFL season is here, and FanDuel has an offer you don't want to miss. Right now, new customers can bet just $5 and get $300 of bonus bets if you win. That's right. Pick a bet, put down $5, and if it hits, you'll unlock $300 of bonus bets to use across the app. Now, This is why I love FanDuel, because it gives you all so many ways to play. If you build parlays, if you try player props, or even follow the live lines during the game, FanDuel is for you. It makes football even more exciting when you got a little something riding on the action. Whether you're a casual fan like me or love diving into the stats, FanDuel makes the game day experience so much better. So what are you waiting for? Visit FanDuel.com to download the FanDuel app today, and then you'll get started. FanDuel. Yep. The Yankees are out. The biggest gripes, if you're a Yankee fan on this game particularly, were why was Vladimir Guerrero Jr. pitched to in the first inning? He would never have seen a pitch in the strike zone. I would much rather have him walk. Yes, I know this isn't a swinging from their heels team like the Yankees, but clearly Vladdy is on a roll. Um, the error by Jazz Chisholm in what would have been an inning-ending double play was really crushing, because it it put two more unearned runs on the board and put the Yankees in a tough spot. And then Wells came up with the tying run at one point, and then swung at the first pitch and gave a weak pop up, and that would have driven me crazy. But let's point at the two big positives. Cam Schlittler was amazing again. He was terrific. He pitched into the seventh, allowed only 2 earned runs, and he was fantastic. And I believe if he stays healthy, he's going to give the Yankees a great number 3 pitcher. If Cole comes back, Fried, who I know had the crap game in game 2, but he's a fine pitcher, and Schlittler, the Yankees have a really good 1-2-3 punch in their starting rotation. And Judge just absolutely dusted off any questions about him in the playoffs, because he was remarkable. The rest of the Yankees, not named Aaron Judge, batted 206. Stanton didn't show up. Stanton didn't have, in the past, you leaned on Stanton for the big postseason moments. But here we go. The Yankees are out, and there you go. The lot will be said about the postmortem on them, but, they're gone. But guess what? Aaron Boone and Brian Cashman are coming back. There's no way they're gone. None. They'll point to the great September. They'll point to them making the playoffs. They'll point to this. They'll point to that. They'll point to the other thing. And it's been since 2009. So there you go. The other big market team, the big budget team, were the Los Angeles Dodgers, who were in a great position to put away the Phillies, the team that I picked to win the World Series. The Phillies had Nola on the mound, and you didn't know what you were going to get from him. And the Dodgers had Yamamoto. They won the first 2 games. They're coming home. And for a big chunk of this game, it looked like we were going to see a really, really terrific barn burner of a game. Obviously you had the early triple by Mookie Betts. The Dodgers took a 1-0 lead, but then the Yamamoto fell apart in the 4th inning, and the Phillies took the lead. And after that, it was 3-1 going into the 8th. And Clayton Kershaw got his moment in the 7th inning and wiggling out of a jam. And if Roberts had let him just pitch that inning, it would have been a nice story. Instead, he got his butt handed to him. And, and Schwarber, who hit one, he hit one into McCovey Cove in San Francisco, which is interesting because the game was played in Los Angeles. I mean, just an absolute crushed bomb. And of course, Schwarber hit another one. Why can't the Red Sox get players like him? Suddenly, a 3-1 nail biter turned into an 8-2 laugher. And it was suddenly you look up and you see that, Turner got a bunch of hits, Harper got a pair of hits, Schwarber got those huge home runs. Rio Muto hit a home run and got another hit. Bohm got on base 4 times. The Phillies lineup caught fire again, and they're playing their ace. They're going to be pitching their best pitcher tomorrow in Chavez Ravine. And suddenly, look, of course, LA could come back and counterpunch the way that Toronto did today. And Glasnow has pitched pretty well. Has pitched very well down the stretch. Thank you very much. And he's no longer in the full body cast that he was last year. So it should be a well pitched game. But there is a very, very real scenario of the Phillies jumping over Glasnow with their hot bats and handing the ball to Sanchez, who has been their best pitcher, especially since God, why am I always blanking out? It's late. It's late. Wheeler is out. And with that, you see that there's a real possibility if the Phillies win tomorrow, then I think they've taken complete control of the series. And then, of course, game 5 could be an absolute toss-up. But Phillies fans do not despair. There is a path to a game 5, and that is your best pitcher on the mound rested and ready to go. And we're not sure what you're going to get out of Glasnow. The other game that I was kind of surprised at, but it's funny. The Cubs jumped on Priester, and Priester was terrible today. And he let up 4 runs in the first inning and put the Brewers behind the hole. But here's why, if I'm a Brewers fan, I'm not that worried. The Cubs didn't score after that. The Cubs scored 4 in the first, and that's it. And give Keller some credit. Keller wiggled out of some bad problems to get the Cubbies into that, and the Cubs won the game. And right now, as I'm recording this, and it's late on Wednesday evening, they still haven't announced the starting pitchers, but I still think the Brewers are in good shape. I really do. I do. If it gets to a game 5, they'll probably throw Peralta again, and Peralta is probably the best pitcher on either one of the staffs right now. The Brewers had 1 bad inning, and they still nearly won the damn game. So it's funny. One team is, you got the Dodgers are up 2-1 in their home, and I'd be nervous if I were a Dodger fan. And I'm someone who has tickets to an upcoming Dodger series. So, even though I'm slightly impartial on this show, or try to be fair or objective, I want the Dodgers to win so I can use that playoff ticket. But the Brewers are on the road, and yet I still think they're in control. I could be wrong, and who knows, maybe I'm disrespecting the Cubs, but we'll see about that. But the team that really, really has to kick themselves and really, really has to look in the mirror and say, what did we do? Was Seattle. Because Seattle jumped all over the Tigers. And a bright sunny day in Detroit, they were up 3-0 in the 5th inning. 3-0. The Tigers already had to go into their bullpen, and all the Mariners had to do was just keep them. They had 2 runs to play with, to just keep them. And then, kind of shockingly, the Tigers' bats exploded and scored 9 unanswered runs. And then when you take a look at some of the big, I remember Cal Raleigh got the hit to make it 3-0. I remember thinking, oh, this is it for the game. And then Dingler got the double, and then Jemai Jones got the double, and then Baez, who is, he's showing up big time. He tied the game. Riley Green homered, and then they just unloaded. Then they simply unloaded, and the Mariners are up 3-0. The crowd was out, and then boom, 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 9 unanswered runs. 9 unanswered runs. They have to go back to Seattle for a do or die game and face Tarek Skubal. And look, the Mariners, they're the team I picked to win the American League pennant. And they are going to stare down the best pitcher in baseball. They won the first game, and they got those 2 home runs off of Skubal. But we know that Skubal is a terrific pitcher. We saw what he did against Cleveland. He was fantastic in game 1, save for the 2 solo home runs. Now, he did blow the game 5 last year between Cleveland and Detroit, letting up the big grand slam and sinking the Tigers' hopes then. But this is a more mature Skubal. And that one won the Cy Young Award. This one's probably going to do the same thing. And they have put themselves, because they couldn't finish a 3-0 lead, they've put themselves in a position where Skubal is going to be the guy do or die. Now, I'll tell you who's thrilled about that are the Toronto Blue Jays, because they're going to have their ace no matter what happens. If the Tigers advance, then they won't be facing Skubal game one. And if the Mariners advance, they won't have to be facing Skubal at all. But either way, if the Mariners, the team that I thought was going to go to win the American League pennant, winds up for the, what is it, the 48th straight year of not going to a World Series, they're going to look at that fifth inning where they allowed 3 runs and think, yeah, that was our chance.
Guys, you've probably heard of Viagra or Cialis, or maybe you've even tried them. But if you're looking for something that goes beyond the usual pill, it's time to meet Rugiet Go Long. Now, this is not just another ED pill. It's a total game changer. Go Long combines 2 doctor-trusted medications in one dual-action formula so you can perform and go the distance. The effects can last up to 36 hours, and that's confidence all day, all night, even into the next day. And the process is simple. Connect with a board-certified doctor 100% online, and to prescribe your treatment ships discreetly right to your door. Ready to level up confidence in the bedroom? Head to rugiet.com, RUGIET.com, and use promo code LOCKEDONMLB for 15% off your first order. That's RUGIET.com, promo code LOCKEDONMLB. Make sure you use our code so we know that we sent you.
Okay, just wrapping up here, going over who owned October. Michael Busch hit another leadoff home run for the Cubs, putting the Cubs on the board and leading to a 4-3 victory over the Brewers. Ernie Clement scored twice with his 2 hits as the Blue Jays clinched against the Yankees. In that same Blue Jays-Yankee game, the pitcher who owned October, you know what? It was a bullpen game. I gave it to Sir Anthony Dominguez, who was great for an inning and 2/3 shutout ball. For the Cubs-Brewers game, the pitcher who owned October was Brad Keller, who stranded 2 runners in the 8th and then finished the 9th to earn the save. Troy Melton pitched 3 shutout innings in relief, striking out 3 Mariners to earn the 9-3 decision for the Detroit Tigers. And the last pitcher to earn a full woo were Ranger Suarez, who gave the Phillies 5 solid innings of relief, allowing just 1 run to earn the 8-2 victory for the Phillies over LA. And then you also have Gleyber Torres, who got on base 3 times, including a home run, to help the Tigers defeat the Seattle Mariners. And Kyle Schwarber homered twice and added a walk to power the Phillies past the Dodgers. Half woos. And no one deserved one for the Dodgers, but I just gave it to Anthony Bond out of the bullpen. Jake Bauers went 2 for 4, including a homer in the Brewers' loss to the Cubs. Mookie Betts tripled and singled in the Dodgers' loss. Aaron Judge, can't blame him. He got on base 3 times, drove in a run. And Cam Schlittler was amazing pitching into the 7th. Bryce Miller pitched in the 5th inning. He only allowed 2 runs, but then they went to the bullpen. The bullpen collapsed for Seattle. Let your starters start. Jose Quintana kept the Cubs off the board with 3 shutout innings, but the Brewers lost that game. And Josh Naylor got 3 hits and scored twice. But of course, the Mariners lost those games. So those are the who owned October, both full woos and half woos. And let's go to the trivia question. Slightly shorter episode today, mainly because I'm really exhausted. The trivia question is, on this day in 1989, the Giants won the National League Championship Series. Which former Cy Young Award winner, acquired at midseason, got the save in the final game for San Francisco? That's the trivia question. The Giants finally won a pennant for the first time since 1962. They won it in 1989. Who was the former Cy Young Award winner who threw the clinching pitch of that National League Championship Series? Put your answers right down here on YouTube. And I want to thank you all for making Locked On MLB your first listen. For your second listen, use the all-night Locked On MLB game night. Every game, every night until a World Series champion is crowned. Get local analysis on a national scale. Find MLB Game Night on Locked On MLB or YouTube, or wherever you listen to your podcasts. Talking about the Blue Jays, who really deserve our respect. The Yankees, who we say sayonara to, and the Phillies, did they wake up? Are the Brewers going to dust themselves off? And did the Mariners blow it? This has been Locked On MLB. I am your host, Paul Francis Sullivan. Please call me Sully.